Welcome back to Only Talk Sports. We talk sports every single day, or at least we try to. I'm Roach Jeffrey. Subscribe to the channel if you like sports content. Hit that notification bell so you never miss another video. Five-star center Derik Queen has committed to the Maryland Terrapins. He committed to the Terps over the Indiana Hoosiers, the Houston Cougars, and the Kansas Jayhawks. I'm going to go over how important of a recruitment win this is for the Maryland Terrapins to land Derik Queen and how much of an impact I think Queen can have on Maryland's team next season. Now, Maryland landing Derik Queen is massive for their program because Derik Queen is a guy that is very talented. That's why he is a five-star recruit, and he would have made a big impact on whichever program he decided to commit to. And I know a lot of people thought that Houston and Kansas were legitimate contenders for Derik Queen, but I don't think that's the case. This is a massive loss for Indiana because this recruitment was down to Maryland and Indiana, in my opinion. But Derik Queen is a guy from the Baltimore area in the state of Maryland. So I do believe that him being closer to the Terps basketball program is a big reason that swung him to staying home. But I also believe that Indiana struggling lately might have been another reason why he did not go to the Indiana Hoosiers, because Indiana was looking really good early in Mike Woodson's tenure. The first couple of seasons with Trace Jackson Davis, they were winning more games. But this season, things have not gone as well for Indiana. Yes, Khalil Ware is probably going to be a guy that is drafted, so that will look good for Mike Woodson that he was able to get another center to the NBA. That's why Indiana has been able to have success recruiting centers and forwards lately, because that's where Mike Woodson has had more success. So I do think that Derik Queen was legitimately interested in the Indiana Hoosiers program, but Malik Renew is a guy that's probably going to be coming back next season for Indiana, so that might have made it a loaded front court for the Hoosiers. And plus, like I said, Indiana is really struggling, so this is not a good sign for Mike Woodson and the Indiana Hoosiers basketball program right now. Both Indiana and Maryland are struggling, but the difference for me is that Indiana is in year 3 of Mike Woodson, whereas Maryland is only in year 2 of Kevin Willard. Because as you can see, Maryland made the NCAA tournament in Kevin Willard's first season as the Terps head coach, and this season right now they're 14-12 and they're 6-9 in the Big Ten. So more than likely, barring a late season run, the Terps are not going to make the NCAA tournament. But Maryland has a lot of things going their way right now, whereas Indiana seems to be going in the wrong direction. Maryland still has a lot of positive momentum because Maryland has not only landed Derik Queen in their 2024 recruiting class, they also have Malachi Palmer, a 3/4-star combo guard that's 6'5". And as you can see as well, Kevin Willard has done a fantastic job recruiting at the Maryland Terrapins because he also has Deshaun Harris-Smith from this past year's class in 2023. He was highly rated, and Derik Queen is the highest recruit that Maryland has had since Jalen Smith back in the 2018 class when Mark Turgeon was still the head coach, and he's just barely underneath Diamond Stone as the highest rated Maryland recruit of all time in the 247 Sports era. So that is huge for the Terps, and Maryland's not done yet. They're still looking at other guys in the 2024 class. Plus, they are probably going to need some transfer portal guards because they are losing Jameer Young off this year's team, which is a tough loss. So they're going to have to do some work in the portal or in high school recruiting still to fix their backcourt. But Maryland's bringing back Julian Reese, and that was the thing I was wondering about, whether Derik Queen would pick Maryland or pick Indiana, because Malik Renew's probably coming back for Indiana, like I said before, but Julian Reese is a center for Maryland, and he's probably coming back because he's only a junior right now, so he has another year of eligibility. How's Derik Queen and Julian Reese going to fit in the front court next year for Maryland? Because I don't think that Julian Reese is going off to the NBA, and I don't think he would transfer, but you never know in this transfer portal era. But Derik Queen is going to start at Maryland. I will be highly shocked if he is coming off the bench for the Terps because he's too talented of a guy to bring off the bench. He's the 12th ranked player according to 247 Sports. And if you look at the scouting report that 247 Sports has for Derik Queen, they talk about how physical he is down on the low block and the fact that he is a fantastic rebounder as well. And he's also developed more face-up skills. So he's able to face the basket and be able to make some passes, even though he's not an elite passer as of this time. He's getting better at that because earlier in his high school career, he was not the best passer in the world. He was a little bit clumsy, but he's gotten a lot better at passing the ball. He's got pretty good hands, and he rebounds the ball at a very high level, and he is a beast on the low block. The only issue is he's not a great vertical athlete, so he doesn't block the ball that much. He's not able to raise the roof out of the gym with some fantastic leaps, but still, he's such a big body, and he has good footwork overall that I do believe he will be able to make up for that lack of vertical athleticism. And even though he does also struggle at the free throw line, he actually actually was a little bit better at shooting free throws earlier in his high school career. He's struggling more lately. It's probably him overthinking it, trying to figure out the perfect way to shoot the basketball. That's probably going to come with time. Maybe that will help him be able to eventually shoot jump shots as well. But if Derik Queen can just continue to improve the things he knows how to do right now, and by next season when he gets to the Maryland Terrapins, he's able to have more of a face-up game, still be dominant on the low block, and maybe continue to improve a little bit as a shooter and a passer, Derik Queen could be a legitimate threat in the Big Ten next season. And that would give Maryland, if Julian Reese stays, one of the best front courts in the Big Ten next year, which is tough to do because you know how dominant the Big Ten is when it comes to front courts. But Maryland would have a fantastic front court next season. They're just going to have to find a way to improve that backcourt a little bit. But as you can see on Twitter, Maryland fans are very happy. As you can see, Derik Queen put on there, "I'm coming home." And I think this statement right here by Derik Queen is huge for the Terps. He says, "Let's make Maryland great again," because of the fact that Maryland is a proud basketball program. They're not like Indiana or Duke or Carolina or any of those type of programs, but Maryland has a good basketball history. They have a 2002 national championship when Gary Williams was the head coach. So Maryland is a program that has a lot of fans. They have a really good home environment. It's been lacking a bit lately because they have been struggling more, but there is a little bit of juice back into this program now that Kevin Willard has been the head coach. And he has been recruiting very well. Deshaun Harris-Smith, Jamie Kaiser, he got in the last class. There is some young talent on this Terrapins roster. Now you're adding Derik Queen to the mix in the 2024 class and maybe some other pieces that he can add through the transfer portal and high school recruiting. I do believe that the Maryland Terrapins are looking very good in the future right now in the Big Ten. I know Maryland's not having the best season in the world right now, but it was a little bit of a rebuilding year after some of the pieces left Maryland from last year's team, kind of like Hakeem Hart. That was tough. If Hakeem Hart didn't leave Maryland to go to Villanova, that might have helped out the Terps a little bit more this year. They've been very competitive this season, but they're just not having the best year. But bringing in Derik Queen, having Julian Reese coming back if he does return for the Terps, I do believe overall, as long as Maryland adds a backcourt player or two to their roster next season, then I do think that the Terps have a shot to be one of the better teams in the Big Ten next season. But Houston and Kansas losing out on Derik Queen, not that big a deal. But for Indiana, losing Derik Queen, that is a massive loss because even though they're probably getting Malik Renew back, maybe McKenzie and Baco, Indiana needs a lot of help right now on their basketball roster. Mike Woodson is in a little bit of trouble for maybe his job security. We'll have to see if the Indiana Hoosiers can find a way to recruit some guys in the future, in the next couple months for the 2024 recruiting class, and maybe they can get some guys in the portal. But I think Maryland right now, as of now, is in a better position than Indiana because they just landed Derik Queen. He decided to stay home. I think that was a big difference. And in picking Maryland over Indiana and the other schools, but also because Maryland has some positive momentum right now. It hasn't translated this season, but they've got some young talent on the roster. And maybe with the addition of Derik Queen, bolstering Maryland's front court for next season, Kevin Willard could have a pretty solid squad in college basketball next season in 2024-2025. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below about five-star center Derik Queen committing to the Maryland Terrapins and how excited you are if you are a Maryland fan for what you think he can bring to the roster next season for Maryland and what you think about him deciding to pick the Terps over Indiana, Houston, and Kansas. Subscribe to the channel if you like sports content. Like this video down below. Follow me on Twitter as well. Link is in the description, and I'll see you next time.